Hey, what's going on, sports fans? This is Sean with BostonandBasketball.com. We're back here to give you some more NBA insights and news with my co-host Matthew Rayner. What's going on, Matthew?
Hey man, I've been sitting in that San Antonio to Austin traffic. I was in a horrible mood, but as soon as I knew I'd get to talk some hoops with you, my mood improved.
All right, there you have it. So listen, folks, like Matthew said, he just got here, but we still going to live stream. We're still going to bring you content. Just so you know, we have a lot of busy schedule for the rest of the week. But after tonight, we will return next Monday. There will be no Thursday show this week, but we're going to have plenty of content to drop for you this week. So no need to despair. Sean and Matthew is here. All right, let's get it started. We're going to pop it off, starting off number one, Matthew. ESPN has just released their 2028 Team USA Olympic basketball roster prediction. Let's take a look at this, Matthew. We'll hit one at a time. Cade Cunningham, yes or no?
Obvious. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, definitely the way Detroit number playing right now. They still dominate number one in the East, I believe, right? I don't think they've been dethroned. I
Hey,
think they're still doing good, number one.
they ain't been dethroned in the East, but they certainly got dethroned last night by the San Antonio Spurs in a potential finals matchup. The
Hey,
Spurs.
listen. Wemby was doing like, what was that move? He drove to the basket and did like I don't know if it's a windmill type dunk. He did something crazy.
He be doing something crazy every game. You could be
And
talking about
and
any single play.
and matter of fact, didn't he have like 4 blocks or something that game?
Yeah, like 6 blocks
6 blocks.
to go with
Yeah.
17
Well,
rebounds. Thank you very much.
yeah. Okay. Hey, you gotta know this man is the Wemby fan. He right in San Antonio. All right, Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. What do you think about him playing for the Team USA?
I think if you want to win the gold medal, he better be on the damn team.
Right. He's definitely going to be one of those guys that's it's going to be in attack mode, and I think he's the one. To me, he's one of those guys, man, that wants the spotlight. He's definitely going to want you to give him the ball, and he wants to prove that he's Mr. Team USA himself. All right,
Absolutely.
Jason Tatum. Oh man, it's hard to say. We know Jason Tatum's a star, right?
Mm-hmm.
But but he's injured right now. We're waiting for him to come back. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be on the team, but definitely right now, I love to see Jalen Brown.
Does Jalen Brown, I know different players play for different teams. I don't see his name on this list. First of all, if his name's not on this list, does he play for someone random? Because I know, sometimes you'll be looking up a random team like the Bahamas or someone. You'll be like, oh, this guy plays there. Because I was surprised not to see Jalen Brown on this list. The thing about Jason Tatum that I'll worry about, obviously, he's out for the season with an injury. Obviously, his team goes to the third or the fourth round of the playoffs every year. So if you're the Celtics, there's that little push and pull. Now, of course, if you're Tatum and you're healthy, you want to play, but do you want to do it at the expense of your health? So, I mean, if he's available, if he's healthy, he's an obvious one, but it'll be interesting to see how he returns next year, because next year will be the 26-27 season. Then you'd have the 27-28 season, and the Olympics would follow that. So let's see how he looks next year, and
Right.
let's see how deep the Celtics go. And if everything's a go, then I think you got to have Jason Tatum, who will still be in the prime of his career in
Yeah.
2028.
And I'm looking at Jalen Brown. Yeah, he straight up would play for the USA. He doesn't play for any other like the Bahamas or any other team. He's straight up American citizen.
Well, then that would be. But there's other players like I can't think. It's usually players that are of a less quality caliber than Jalen Brown. Like you could think of like second order players, maybe like someone like a Buddy Hield or a DeAndre Ayton. I think they play in the Olympics, but they're probably not good enough to make the Team USA roster. So I think those two play for the Bahamas. There's different people that play for different countries. I think Jordan Clarkson with the Philippines. Um, and so I'm surprised not to see Jalen Brown on this list, because you would think that's an obvious one. In fact, we could
Yeah.
probably cut out the next guy, Conca Nipple, if it means no Jalen Brown there.
Right. And Kyle Knipple, that right there is definitely Kyle Knipple is having the best rookie season ever, right, Matthew? But but we're still a couple years away from the Olympics, right? And how do we know if Con Knipple is not going to have the freshman jinx, right? Where
Mhm.
great rookie season, and then who knows what he might bust, or maybe people adjust him and he can't get off the shots like he used to. And I think it's just way too early right now for a Con Knipple.
Exactly. And especially looking at this list, like I know I'm nitpicking, but why is his name number 4? Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Con Knipple. Why is he the?
Do you think that's in any order though?
Well, I mean, they named the 3 best players on the list first. Then, so it looks like it slowly gets out of order. But let me tell you this about this list: whoever made it, Sean, is not our age. Whoever made it is a Zoomer, Gen Z. Because I see a bunch of young cats, but maybe I'm an old head for pointing this out. Kevin Durant's still pretty good. He's still a top 15 player. He said he wants to be in the 28 Olympics if he can. Who else? Chef Curry, still a
Yeah,
top 15 player. Who else? Who else? I know there's someone else in there. Where's Devin Booker? You know,
I will put Donovan Mitchell on this list.
I put Donovan Mitchell. I put Devin Booker. I know they're going to be almost 40 in the Olympics, but until someone can prove me different about a KD bucket or a Stephen Curry bucket, I want those guys there. I mean, you don't win the Olympics in 2024 without Steph Curry. So I think like Jada, Jalen Williams, Con Knipple, Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is good. Amin Thompson. Like you putting Amin Thompson over KD, his Houston teammate who carries that team every night. I think, Sean, whoever made this is in a different generation than us.
Right, right. What's going on? We want to shout out one of our guests that popped in, Jalen. What's going on, Jalen? Appreciate you being on here with us. Tyrese Halliburton, that's a good one. I'm in Thompson, Scotty Barnes. I wouldn't have Scotty. Jalen Williams, I wouldn't have him. Cooper Flag, still with the rookie season, but I definitely think Cooper is definitely having more promise than Con Knipple. And I only say Cooper Flag over Con because Cooper is actually running the Dallas Mavericks right now, where Con is really like the third man out. You're gonna hit Mello and Bridges and all that before you hit Con Knipple. Jalen Duren, he's okay. Chet, definitely Chet.
Yeah, I mean,
Wemby, I think Wemby should be on there. Like I said, Bam Adebayo, definitely another good choice as well.
well, here's the deal. Since Wemby's going to be playing for France, you put Chet out there.
Oh
Wemby
yeah,
hates
yeah. I'm
Chet,
sorry. I'm
and
sorry. I keep forgetting that he's gonna play for France.
Wemby don't like Chet, and I don't think Chet can guard Wemby. So if you want to give
Yeah,
up,
what's up with them two, man? Why did they
well,
got like
because I think they get compared into Wemby. It's like, I'm this generational young player, and y'all want to compare me to Chet Holmgren. I think he finds it disrespectful. And as a Spurs fan, I find it a little disrespectful. I think if you want to give up 50 points and lose to France, then put Chet Holmgren on that roster. If not, you better start the guy whose name last, Bam Adebayo, because he's going to be one of the few people that can put some smart defense on Wemby in the post.
right, right, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna move on from that one. I say maybe about 6 of those people I definitely go with,
That's
but
right.
definitely have another 6. All
Absolutely.
right. Woo, look at this, Matthew. Since James Harden has joined, and especially with Mobley back. So overall, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 13-2 over the last 15 games. But since Harden has joined, man, they won straight heat, 7-1. Man, they said this team is a problem. We talked
Mhm.
about this the other day and I said, man, do you know what kind of problem Spider and Harden is going to be? And we both said the same thing. But when Mobley gets back, man, that's a three-headed monster. What do you think the legitimate run is with these three, and how far can they make it?
I mean, it looks fantastic right now, and that's because Harden. I'm gonna get into a second in the ways that he might not be a great teammate, but let's talk about the ways that he is a great teammate. He's the rare star player that can get his own shot that doesn't mind playing the distributor, doesn't mind playing the playmaker. So you look at what he's done in the 6 games since he's been there. He's shooting 51% from the field, 47% from three, but he's saying, no, let me find my way in this offense. Only taking 11 shots a game and averaging 9 assists. And who's that open the floor up? That opens the floor up for Mitchell to attack, because Mitchell's having a great season too. You know, in most years, he might be an MVP candidate, putting up 29, 6, and 5. You got Mobley back to anchor the defense. And, you know, Mobley plays like a lesser version of that Wembanyama role in terms of anchoring the defense, in terms of being that paint protector that's going to not only block some shots, but keep them honest from even rushing the paint. So, you know, he's doing things that the numbers don't necessarily show, but the numbers do show he's having a pretty good season himself, even on the offensive side. So I love what you got there. Just in every way, I love that team. Now the issue I even love, look, you got your sometimes 6-man, sometimes starter, Jalen Tyson, putting up 51, 47, 76. So look, you got a lot of gunners on that team. You got a lot of shooters on that team. But we might wake up tomorrow and James Harden decides the wind blew from the east instead of the west on Lake Ohio this morning, and I got to get out of Dodge. So if you're the Cavs, you're 13-2. It's not – you don't think of this as a season to build on anything. You think of this as a must-win season, because you just don't know what Harden's going to wake up feeling tomorrow. You know Harden loves playing in L.A., like in his hometown. You know he might get an itch to go back to Houston, his basketball hometown. Maybe even Phoenix. I believe he's from Arizona. So you never know what he's going to be thinking in the offseason. But what you do know is he had a good situation in Brooklyn. He left that, playing with KD and with Kyrie. He left that. He had a great situation in Philly, playing with Maxey and Embiid. He left that. He had a great situation with the Clippers, playing with Kawhi. Now, maybe that wasn't the best situation because we don't know what's going to happen with this investigation with Kawhi. The point is, Harden has left plenty of championship quality teams at the altar. So if you're Cleveland, if you're Kenny Atkinson, if you're the rest of the squad, if you're Spider, Donovan Mitchell, if you're Jared Allen, if you're Evan Mobley, you can't be thinking, oh, you know, if we don't win, we're going to get them next year. No. Play with everything you got, because you don't know what James Harden is going to want to do next year. But while you have him this year, past the trade deadline, past the buyout deadline, you got a magnificent team. So milk it for all it's worth, because tomorrow is not promised with James Harden as your second best player.
And Matthew, on top of that, right? And we talked about this a little bit before we hit the record button. What if they did get LeBron James next year? What if he decided to come back to Cleveland in his last year there in Cleveland, back in his hometown over there by Akron and all that? Do you think they can make it all the way? First of all, could they make it to the finals, and could they win the finals?
With LeBron? No. In fact, you have a ball-dominant shooting guard in Mitchell who's going to need the ball a certain amount of times in a game. But then you're taking the ball a little bit out of his hands, but you're putting it in Harden's hands because you're saying, okay, Mitchell, let's get you some easy shots. Let's get it to our star distributor, Harden, who can also get his own shot. But you have two players that need the ball. Then you put LeBron in, who at this stage of the career would be a great story to be in Cleveland, but is not as good as those other two players, but is such a legend in the game that he's going to need the ball. You know, he's not going to say, I'm going to sit in the corner and play the Kyle Korver role. He's going to want the ball, you know, especially if he's in Cleveland, which is his basketball hometown. You know, we know his real hometown is Akron down the road, but he's not coming to Cleveland, if he comes to Cleveland, to wave a towel. He's not coming to play the Paul Pierce role, and he's not even coming to play the spot-up shooter role. He's going to want the ball, and I think it's going to disrupt the chemistry, because how do you have Harden? How do you have Mitchell, who I think at this stage of their career, and, you know, if I'm wrong, tell me, but at this stage of their career are better than LeBron? How are you going to tell them, you know, take off 2 of every 5 possessions because we're going to let LeBron bring the ball up? It doesn't work for me, and I think it'd be a nice story, but I think it would be a nice story that would end in sadness when they get eliminated in the play-in game or something, because the team chemistry is not there.
Okay. All right, up next, your main man, Jonathan Kuminga. Debut game with the Hawks tonight. This guy came out with 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. This is what I love about Kuminga. I think Kuminga is a star, but he's not an all-star. Kuminga, when he is with the Warriors, kind of like how it was with Andrew Wiggins. Those guys, I think, can be better than what they are, depending on if you had them in the right system. And with Trey out with the Hawks, and now you got Kuminga there, definitely I see Kuminga putting up 20 something points easily every game while he's there with the Hawks. And they need somebody right now to believe in. With Trey gone, and matter of fact, they did a tribute because Trey was there tonight, and they did a tribute. He said he got a little emotional and all that. But definitely, this is the part that I don't like. If Kuminga could have spread his wings, or Jonathan Wiggins could have spread his wings at Golden State. I'm sorry, Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins could have spread his wings there in Golden State. I definitely feel that they could have really contributed and really took the Golden State Warriors farther than what they were. But when you center everything around Steph Curry, and at one point in time around Clay until he got injured, those back-to-back years, man, you had great talent there, and I just don't think they knew how to develop them. But Jonathan Kuminga, I think, is going to do great for the Hawks. Now, do I think they're going to make it to the finals and all that, or make it? I don't even think they make it to the first round, at least not this year. They still need to build some stars around them. But definitely, I'm happy for them, and I think this is a good fit. What are your thoughts?
I think it's interesting because I think Kuminga thought he was bigger than the system in Golden State. And the conventional wisdom would be to say, of course he wasn't. You know, this team's won 4 championships, including as recently as 2022. But if you're Kuminga, you're probably thinking, well, you were good my rookie year. We won the championship. But really, we've been pretty mediocre since then. We haven't done much. And you've gone back and forth, giving me a role, restricting my role. Because obviously in Golden State, they like to run an offense that's dribble handoff, get Steph a shot. And then you bring in Jimmy Butler, so he's going to have to get the ball a certain amount of times. And there just wasn't enough room for Kuminga in the offense. And obviously Kuminga never got the message or didn't want to hear the message. So he ends up on the bench. But everybody knows it's not a talent issue. Everybody knows this guy can ball. But you know, because the Kings almost traded for Kuminga. And, you know, I've watched Kings a lot this year. That's where Westbrook's at. And what I saw a little conventional wisdom emerging among their fans was, you know, he's kind of unproven. We haven't seen him for large doses. You know, like last year he played 47 games. He went back and forth between being on Kerr's doghouse and then playing in games. You know, he looked when he came out, like, you know, he was really putting the ball in the hoop, shooting over 50%, I think, the first 2 or 3 years, high 30s from the three. Those numbers have nosedived a little. Now, it could be because he's lost confidence, because he lost his rotation spot. And you look at the game today. Now, keep in mind, he did score 27 points. Or what do you have, 24, 27?
27. 27 is debut.
In limited minutes. He played 24 minutes off the bench. But in those minutes, 9 of 12 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 6 of 7 from the free throw, a plus 16. But let's see, as they emerge, as they give him more of a role, as he settles in to the rotation, maybe even to the starting lineup, let's see what it looks like. Because, you know, one game's a nice story, but let's see if a month from now, 2 months from now, if Atlanta feels like Golden State felt. Because then, you know, maybe a trend's developing. So let's congratulate the young fella on, you know, stepping up for his new team.
Congratulations.
Come
on, Jonathan.
Let's watch it patiently.
Show Matthew wrong, Jonathan. I'm gonna tag you in this, Jonathan. I want you to show Matthew wrong. Show him you the star that I think you are.
He can be a star, but I say the jury is still out.
Boo. All right. All right. Then with the jury's still out, this is where the jury needs to be out on this guy right here. Me and Matthew argue about this guy, Eric Spoelstra, man, with the Miami Heat. Listen, I don't know what Pat Riley sees in this guy. 2018 seasons, 2 championships, way back in the day, 2012, 2013. It's been over 13 years. Now, Matthew's going to argue, but they've been to the finals 6 times. Matthew, I'm going to tell you, like my friends tell me at work, when I use the word almost, they said, is there a thing as almost pregnant? I'm like, no. They said exactly. Either you pregnant or you're not pregnant. Either you win championships or not winning championships. Matthew, 8 more years, $120 million for 8 more years. I might have gave him 2 more years and that's it. Bro, do you know what you could be doing with 120 million? You can grab a couple more good star players to bring them to Miami. I'm not sold on it.
Worth every penny.
Oh my God.
Every single penny. We've been watching Miami for the 18 years he's been there. And how many borderline, no, I don't want to say G League players, but borderline players that might have just been scrappy rotation role players has he turned into borderline superstars? You see what he's done with Tyler Hero. You saw over the years. Even
what do you see Tyler Hero doing? They're not even mentioning him. He's like Austin Reeves. He hot for like 1 or 2 years and then he gonna die right up.
But it's these random guys, and Tyler Hero's not that random of a guy. He was a blue chip prospect at one point. Duncan Robinson.
Bam was the best thing that had Duncan Robinson. Trash.
Look what I'm just saying. Look what he got out of these guys that otherwise may never be. Even Khalil Ware, who is like an emerging star for them now.
Who?
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. Look, this is a guy who's in his second year, and he's emerging as a real threat as a stretch 5, shooting 40% from the 3 while still giving you 9 rebounds. I'm saying Spoelstra. Now look, I can name random players. I can name Khalil Ware. I can name Jaime Jaquez Jr. I can name Duncan Robinson. I can name Tyler Hero. We can go back years. I can name Hassan Whiteside. You can name a ton of players that Spoelstra got a bunch out of that when they went elsewhere, perhaps nobody else was able to get as much out of them. But let me tell you this, Sean. Let me tell you this. I'm going to pull it up right now just to make sure I'm right. Nikola Jovic, that's another one. But let me make sure I have this right.
And Matthew, and let me say this while you're looking that up. There's 2 people that overstayed their welcome. You know who that is? That's Eric, your boy Eric right here, and Udonis Haslem. For the last 8 years of his career, they sat on the bench and said, just talk to the guys and be the OG veteran.
And that is why you have a coach
Miami
like
is loyal. Miami is loyal to a fault.
No, because we didn't say we're not going to sit some random 2-way player there. We're going to have a real OG like Udonis there, and he's gonna get players in line when we need them, and we're going to build that Heat culture. And let me tell you what that Heat culture has led to, because I just looked it up. He's been the coach 18 seasons, and they've had a losing record.
Losing? Say it again.
Well, they've had a losing record 2 of those seasons. So in 18 seasons, 2 of them, but they've had a winning record 16 of them. He's been to the
barely
finals.
Above 500?
No, not barely above 500. Let's see. 47, 35, 58, 24, 46, 20, 66, 16, 54, and 28. Look, here's the point. 16 of 18 winning seasons. 6 Eastern Conference Finals. 6 of them. Been to the championship 6 times. Won 2 of them. Then went back with those Jimmy Butler-led teams that didn't have a whole lot of shooting, but played with a lot of grit, a lot of defense, a lot of random players, a lot of white boys that wouldn't have got run anywhere else because they wouldn't have been found as a diamond in the rough.
Mark Cuban would have took him.
What happened to Duncan Robinson ever since he left? Where's Duncan Robinson at these days? I don't know. What's he doing these days? Who could tell you?
I would have paid that type of money if Pat Riley was still the head coach. He's worth every penny of it.
Well, Pat Riley is closer to the nursing home than a head coaching job. So we got to think. We got to think for the future. This guy Spoelstra.
You think this guy's the future?
Well, I think he's the present. That would be more. I think he's the best coach we've had in this league since Greg Popovich. And let's not forget that he worked his way up from assistant video coordinator for the Miami Heat, the feel-good story of the coaching spectrum. And I think he's a great coach. I think he's a winner. I think he's developed a hell. Now, some of the players I name might not be that random, and I might be low key disrespecting them by calling them random players. But I think he's developed a lot of random diamonds in the rough that would not have been developed if not for my boy, your boy, Coach Spo.
Hey, look. Right now, Spo right now is getting back and forth. I ain't gonna say he in the back and forth, but him and Pat Riley sees two different things. I don't know if you heard what Pat Riley said the other day. You see what Spo's wearing right now, Eric? You see that jumpsuit? Did you see what Pat Riley said the other day?
They ain't
He
going
said
back to the
all
suit
the
and
head.
tie.
Yep, you saw that. You
They
need
ain't
to go
going
back
back.
to the suit and tie.
We ain't going back to the 80s.
And Eric was like, I understand what he's saying, but it's a different generation.
Eric
I'm like,
said,
man, listen to your elders. The reason why you listen to your elders, Eric, is why y'all are not making it to the championships and winning it, because you're not listening to Pat. The
I'm
man
with
knows
Eric.
what he's doing. If you wore a suit and tie, maybe y'all win a championship.
Hey, Eric, you make that tracksuit look good. I'm with Eric. I didn't even comb my hair today.
All right, now let's move on to this one. Is this true at all, Matthew? I mean, they are going off on Draymond Green tonight with Steph still out. They said Draymond Green is completely useless without Steph Curry. And this goes back to what we said, I think, about a month ago. We talked about this. You can't base your whole offensive team on one player. You've got to base it on what.
Too late for the Warriors. They've already done it.
Yeah, that's true. Is he useless though without them? And look, and what's that guy, Rob? Oh, it's a guy that used to be on ESPN. Rob, I forgot his name, but he said Draymond Green is not a Hall of Famer at all if you take away Steph Curry. Was that too harsh?
Disagree with that, because
he said without Steph Curry, Draymond would be another regular Joe and wouldn't have no championships.
I think you have to keep in mind that no matter what you think of him in his offensive game, which is in tatters right now, is not good, and his playmaking has always been overrated, because it's not that hard to do a dribble handoff with Steph. I mean, the best shooter of all time, and it's not even hard to draw plays where you get creative and look better than you are. But in terms of his bread and butter, his defense, his ability to switch on any position on the floor and guard anybody, whether it's LeBron in the finals or whether it's punking out Rudy Gobert, the big man, in a random game in March. Draymond can guard everybody, and sometimes that's not a good thing. Sometimes he goes a little far. Sometimes he gets illegal. Sometimes he gets very illegal. But he is a world-class defender. So at worst, and what I think his legacy might end up being, besides all the assists he got with Steph, is that at worst, he's like Dennis Rodman. He's all defense, all world defense, and his haters, who are kind of right, I think, at this point about his offensive game, and I'm going to get into that in a second.
Rob Parker, that's his name.
Rob Parker.
Looked it up. Yep,
I remember him. Now look, Draymond is one of the best defenders we've ever seen. There's just no way around that. I remember before he could even really play anything resembling offensive basketball in that series they had against the Denver Nuggets in the 2013 playoffs before they fully developed. His 15 minutes on the court, he was just terrorizing guys with his defense. And I remember George Karl complaining after the game, and he said this when people still called him Draymond because they didn't know his name was actually Draymond. This might have been his rookie year. And I remember George Karl saying, is Draymond Green playing football or basketball? And the idea that a guy that was averaging 3 points a game would warrant comment from the Hall of Fame coach is a testament to the defensive terrorist that he's always been, and that he would be in the Hall of Fame for whatever team he played for. Although, right. I mean, I guess there's a case that if he was on a terrible team that sucked, nobody would care how good his defense is, whatever. But he's a world-class defender no matter what you think of him. Now, is he completely useless on the offensive side of the ball at this point of his career without Steph Curry? Yes. Okay. You get no argument from me. I look at his numbers this year. They're awful. I know numbers don't tell everything, but Jesus, Draymond, averaging 8 points, 6
Yeah.
rebounds, 5 assists on 41% shooting. If he started every single game, I don't think you could name another player on any other organization in the league with that stat line that would have started every other game. And the fact that he gives Steve Kerr such a
Right.
hard time, because that doesn't, one, his offense sucks this year, but two, he gives Steve Kerr a hard time every chance he can get. So, and yet Steve's your savior. That's Savior Steve. He's still starting you, bro. Like nobody else in the
Right.
league would be starting you at this point. So,
Yep.
one, maybe be nice to Steve because I think he's the last guy of the 30 teams that would be starting you every single game. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I think he is a little useless right now on the offensive side of the basketball, but that doesn't give people a reason to disrespect his body of work. Let's not forget, 4-time champion,
Yeah.
and his impact in those games was felt. Remember, when they were playing Cleveland, he was the one having to guard LeBron. So, we can talk this, that, or the other, but he put his work in. So it's not, his offensive game worthy of disrespect. His body of work through his career, I think, deserves praise.
All right. We're
All
gonna
right.
let you roll with it. But
Mhm.
Rob Parker has a whole different set of opinion.
Hey, Rob Parker, you come on,
Yeah.
you come on the show and argue with us about it.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next one. Chris Paul says he is taking SGA over Luca. So let's give it some context. So this is what was said. This was it was said that year that we played together, talking about when he played at Thunder. Uh, he also started to see that defense matters. Your teammates just want to see that the stars actually try on defense. He said, I got a lot of respect for like Steph, Shy, and all these guys who at least try on a defensive end. So you know what that's taking a shot at, don't you, Matthew?
I
Chris
mean,
Paul is saying that I would take SGA because at least he tries on defense. Luca, just an offensive machine and doesn't even try a lick to play any type of defense. Which that was a big thing that in Dallas that they talked about that. They tried to say he was a little slow because he was overweight. He never stayed in shape. But we see a fit Luca in LA, but people are still criticizing his defense. If it was up to you and you had to choose between SGA or Luca, who would you choose, Matthew?
man, first of all, I don't know what Steph Curry, Chris Paul's been watching playing defense because the one I've been watching all these years ain't been playing that much defense. So let's get that out the way first. But SGA or Luca, I'm definitely taking your boy FTA because one, I think SGA is a better teammate than Luca. I mean, he not mean mugging. Him and his teammates be doing the post game interview together, having fun together, doing commercials together.
Oh yeah.
All Luke could be doing with his teammates is yelling at them and giving them dirty looks. So I think on that
Okay,
alone,
Matthew calling it like it is.
hey, I think it's true. I think everybody, I think we see it from the referees. I think we see it from the other players. I think we see it from his teammates. I think we see it from the team that controversially traded him. I don't think a lot of people in the league really like Luka like that.
Right.
And I think his talent justifies all the praise in the world, but I think there's strong circumstantial evidence that he's a pretty piss poor teammate. And so if you're taking talent versus talent, but you're talking about the kind of talent that could lead to a championship
Yeah.
victory on the best team in the league, then I
Right.
think you're talking about SGA. Sometimes I call him FTA. So I've got some problems with his game, but I do think his teammates genuinely like him. I think he's a leader. I think he's very talented. And I think he stays in shape all through the season so he don't have to settle for 32-foot step back three-pointers every other play like your boy Luka.
Yeah.
So I'm taking SGA over Luka every day of the week. I'm taking it on talent, but I'm also taking him when you add the intangibles to that talent. I think you got to go with SGA.
All right. So Matthew, so we all know Chris Paul just got released last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who to believe, but when you watch his interviews, first of all, when he got released, he just went on this big promo tour like he was a rapper, right? He getting on all these podcasts, all these shows talking about why he got released.
He and his
And
feelings.
one of the things he said that the coach said to him, like, hey, it doesn't even make sense. They told him, don't be talking to the other guys, basically giving your opinions and what your thoughts and stuff are, right? I don't know if that's true or not. I'm sure it definitely has a bit a deeper meaning than that. But with that being said, how ironic it is that he's saying things like this, giving his opinion and speaking out on things. Kind of makes you wonder, is this one of the reasons why he got released? Because of saying stuff like this around people?
I think, everybody knows he shares his opinion. When he has an opinion, he doesn't keep it to himself. And he feels, and he's right about that, he's earned that with his position in the game. But I guess for the Clippers, when this guy's like your 20th year point guard who's now averaging 4 points a game, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. And so they couldn't have this Hall of Famer in the locker room just hating on the rest of the guys when his production was so limited by his age and what he had left. Although he was still pretty good on the Spurs last year. He started every single game, all 82 games. And I want to say he averaged like 9 and 8. So I think there was a little bit of a combination of the Clippers kind of trying to limit his role, perhaps intentionally. And I watch Westbrook wherever he goes, and I felt like I noticed that when he was on the Clippers as well, generally even later in his career, even last year on the Nuggets, he's more of like a 28-minute a game guy. And on the Clippers, he was at 22. And something tells me that Tyronn Lue, after having to deal with LeBron those years and kind of play second fiddle to LeBron, because when you're LeBron's coach, you're more like the assistant coach, I think, especially since he's been in his mid-prime. I think Tyronn Lue has a problem with players with big personalities, and I think he went out of his way to show Russ who was boss when Russ was there,
Uh-huh.
and to kind of cut down that big personality, so to speak. And I think there's something there with the Chris Paul situation as well, to the point where your best player in franchise history on his retirement tour gets unceremoniously sent home at like 3 a.m. It's a little crazy. There's some egos at play, and I think I think Tyronn Lue's got that big personality syndrome where he doesn't ever want to play second fiddle to one of his players again like he did to
Mm,
LeBron. So I think he
right.
goes out of way to cut those big personalities at the knees.
Right. Matthew, let me ask you something. There's there's two things I tell people that Chris Paul was always known for. Now, my friend Carcino, he will always laugh at me because I would call Chris Paul shorty dirty. He's like, why you call that man that? I'm like,
Why do you
man,
call
he's
that
the
man
shortest, she's the shortest player, but bro, he used to do some of the dirtiest plays, like how Draymond Green would do dirty plays, man. But on the
Shorty
flip
dirty?
side, I think that's why I call him shorty dirty. But on the flip side, I tell people, man, I think Chris Paul is the only player I watch that will put on a master class at the elbow, the free throw elbow shot. He is known for that. I've never seen nobody go to the free throw line, run to the corner of that elbow, and just knock that shot down consistently. Have you seen anybody else hit that elbow shot right there at the free throw line like him?
First of all, I can't believe you're calling that man Shorty dirty. Grown ass man. Second of all, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was automatic. He sent the Spurs home one year with a variation of that shot. It was by the bucket to the right side of the basket, maybe about 8 feet over
Yeah.
the outstretched arms of, I think, Tim Duncan. So I remember him sending the Spurs home with that shot the year they were the defending champs.
Uh
But
huh.
when he got to that spot on the elbow, and he pulled up, and it was like he was pushing it. The way he was shooting,
Yeah.
he was so small, it
Yep.
looked like he was pushing the ball.
Yep. That's shorty dirty for you.
But that's Shorty dirty for you. But it just went in every single time.
Yeah.
And it was so sad for me that last year he was in Phoenix, because the Clippers played Phoenix in the playoffs, and their strategy was to leave Chris Paul open instead of letting Durant and Booker get shots. And to see Chris Paul kind of missing wide open shots that he would have made with ease in his prime,
Yeah.
that's kind of when I knew that was it. And it was kind of sad to see, you know, a great player like Chris Paul get left open in the playoffs. And that, I believe that was 21, 22. No, I think that was 22, 23. And I think that was the end of Chris Paul as a, you know, A-level contributor. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously he hung on, did his year in Golden State, did his year with the Spurs, and then what happened with the Clippers. But no, that 14-foot elbow push shot jumper, and not a push shot, but the way he
Yeah,
shot it, it
yeah,
looked like he was
yeah.
pushing it.
It's almost like a little floater, like
Beautiful
kind of
shot.
like push it. Yeah.
The only person
All
I
right.
could think of is actually,
Who?
ironically, SGA. I think his mid range is automatic, kind of in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. John Morant has something like that too. All right. Let me. All right. So let me ask this: if you had to pick the old man's point guard, one guy just retired last week, the other guy's been retired for a few years. If you had to pick one point guard for your team, would you pick Chris Paul or would you pick Rondo?
Oh, Chris Paul, no
What?
question. You know,
Rondo is a true point guard. You can't just look at, all right, so we look at who's scoring more, Chris Paul. But if you look at IQ, talent, get to the right place, directing traffic, uh, overall IQ is like way up here. Definitely Rondo.
Chris Paul was a model of consistency for like 20 years. I mean, Rondo's career is kind of erratic where, I mean, he had teams that they all, like the Mavericks, that would argue he gave up on the team. And he had stretches of his career where he wasn't playing that great of basketball that just happened to be bookended by, you know, his prime stint
Right,
in Boston, then his wise veteran stint in the Lakers. But not everything in between was so pretty. And I think
right,
he had a storybook beginning and a storybook ending, but he certainly didn't have a storybook middle. And I'll take 20 years of a consistent 15 and 10 on 50% shooting over Rondo. I mean, there were years Rondo barely giving you 6 points a game, like in his close to his prime. And but he's a very smart player, but I think I'm going with CP3 there.
okay. All right, fair enough. All right, Matthew, we're going to end it with this right here. Shaq on his interaction he had with Cat, Carl Anthony Towns. Shaq, I'm not saying be mean. It's about mentality. When I tell you to do this and that, don't respond by saying, oh, I'm trying to look for everybody else. Man, you gotta be great. Then Charles responded, I'm not saying you're wrong, Shaq, but we all don't have that same mentality, that mental makeup. Cat is a very good player. He's just a nice guy. He ain't no killer, and we can't make him no killer. So it's crazy when they say this because I actually believe that they actually won this game, right? But they wanted to see Shaq. I'm gonna tell you. Let me fill everybody in a little bit. Shaq wants everybody to be Shaq. Throw me
That's
the
true.
ball down low. I'm gonna turn around, dunk, get out of my way. I'm gonna jam it down your throat. All right. Charles Barkley is saying, yeah, but if that's not his makeup, you can't make a person a killer. Either you got it or you don't. But what I love was Kenny the Jet Smith had the best response. He said, Shaq, you're trying to make people play center like they do in the 90s, 80s, and 90s. Grab the ball, move out my way, I'm going to jam it down. But we're in an era where centers now, they got jump shots. They're definitely getting way better at shooting free throws. Centers now, since I call it since the dirt and the whiskey era, are shooting threes now. And Wemby's proof of that. I mean, could you imagine? Look how dominant Wemby is without having to grab it down low and jam it down on top of your head and force it. Man, the man can hit you with a crossover. He can pull up a mid range. He can shoot from the threes. He can hit from the logo. Kenny the Jet Smith said it best. Let him play in the era that he grew in where you can do everything. You don't have to be ball dominant down low and hit everybody with elbows left and right and spin and dunk it. What are your thoughts on that, Matthew?
Shaq is was one of the most dominant players of all time,
Absolutely.
perhaps the most dominant player I've ever seen. But what we know about Shaq as an announcer, and he's a very good announcer.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got some malware on my computer. What the hell was that? Anyhow, he's a very good announcer,
Uh-huh.
but he's a hater. He's a hater.
Oh,
Every big man that comes along, whether it's Dwight Howard, whether it's Cat, he's kind of Rudy Gobert. He's
yeah.
he's pretty rude to a lot of big men, and it's obvious why. Like he thinks the big man should play a certain way in basketball, and so over the years, even like JaVale McGee, someone that's not even in his league, he's a big man hater. He's a certified big man hater, and so you should listen to Shaq's opinions about basketball. You should listen to Shaq's opinions about dominating the post. You should listen to Shaq's opinions about being a good announcer. But when it comes to his opinions about big men playing basketball, you should take him with a grain of salt because he's proven time and time again, whether it's Dwight Howard, whether it's Rudy Gobert, whether it's Karl Anthony Towns, whether it's even JaVale McGee, that he's a big man hater. So, and a lot of people hate on Cat because Cat's different. He plays the game a little different. His facial expressions are a little different. And a lot of social media likes to make fun of Cat. And I think what Shaq and Charles are doing here is just kind of low-hanging fruit, and they're kind of playing off that. But the Knicks don't need Cat to be Shaq. I mean, if you look by the numbers, now I'm looking at it now. Over his 11-year career, Cat's taken 4 threes a game and shot 40% from three. That's amazing. I mean, statistically, he's got to be either number one or number two in terms of big men shooting a three ball. So, Shaq could do a lot during his career. He certainly couldn't shoot 40% from three, and he certainly couldn't do it over an 11-year period. Then second is that the Knicks are good with everyone playing their role right now. The Knicks won the in-season tournament, which, it hasn't quite gotten there, but just saying, like, everybody was playing hard on that. The Knicks won that. Right. And the Knicks are the 3rd seed in the East right now. They have plenty of players. Everyone's fitting in their role. Jalen Brunson's a star on the team. Mikal Bridges is like your two-way star. OG Anunoby, your rim runner, can still make the three. They got so many pieces. Josh Hart, your defensive anchor. Mitchell Robinson, your offensive rebounder. I mean, it just loaded. They just got Jose Alvarado out of nowhere, which I'm not saying that's the greatest thing ever, but he's gonna be fun for them. So everybody's playing their role. Cat's content playing his role on the team so he can win. I mean, Cat's been the best player. When he was in Minnesota, Cat was the best player. And he's had his taste of being like the number one guy, averaging 28 points a game, 27 points a game. And he wants to be here on the Knicks where he's going to be the best player some nights, but he's not always going to be the best player some nights. And, Shaq was the best player on his team, but there were some nights where Kobe was the best player. And so Shaq can act like these are all foreign concepts to him, but I think intuitively he understands that there's roles on a basketball team. And I think Cat's playing his role well. And I think Shaq is a biased source when it comes to big men.
All right, there you have it. So, Matthew, before we get out of here, we're going to try something a little bit different here. So, you know how you watch the NBA dunk contest, right?
Yes, sir.
And they throw up either 8, 9, 10s or whatever they feel. Well, we're going to try that here. Let me turn this off here. We're going to see the top 10 plays from the other night. And you tell me whether you rate it. What would you rate it out of 10 each play? Okay. This is my first time watching it too.
All right. I ain't seen it. Let's see.
Iguodala is oh so nasty as he gets the jam and better alert. You got to scoot out of the way.
Pretty basic dunk. I'm gonna give that a 7.
Yeah, I was about to say I would give it about 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be a hater. I'll give it a 7. Yeah, Basic
up on
dunk.
the wrong end of that play at number 10. Moving along to number 9, and Brandon Miller letting it fly from
Ooh.
way outside, and that one is pure. Getting in.
Definitely have
Buzzer?
to give it like an 8. Man, when you're hitting the buzzer and you're hitting that far out a little bit past past half court.
I'm gonna give it a 9. And if it had been the fourth quarter buzzer, I'll give it a 10 plus.
All right. Let's see what number 8 is.
At number 9. Up to number 8, and it's a pick and roll to the hole with soul. Namish Keita, the detonator, as he rides the elevator to the top, getting the drop on Luka.
Look at Luka. Luka didn't want none of that. Hey, Luka
Business
completely
decision.
turn around.
Business decision.
I give it an 8 only because look how far back he cocked it.
I was gonna give it an 8, but because it's over Luka, I'll give it an 8.5.
All right.
Throwing that one in at the rim at number 8. We're up to number 7, and R.J. Barrett with the behind the spine dime over to Jakob Poeltl, who went up and under rather than hurdle the defense, and that one's
always like a little trick shot, man. I definitely give that an 8, man. I like this little behind the back pass, and I don't think nobody was better at that pass than Jason Williams, aka White Chocolate.
Hey, that's a good dime. I'll give that.
You ain't getting an 8? What you giving it? I give it 8.
He finished with a layup, not a dunk.
Good.
I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8.
Raptors as they get in at number 7. Up to number 6 now, and keep your eye on the shot clock. Peyton Pritchard's got the rocket drop. Outside at the logo, he gets this one to go. Beautiful shot.
A short man, too. I'm definitely giving him a 9 for that. He's short. He's not really a starter. Look at
look what he did to Hachimura.
Yeah, look at Hachimura. Look at his feet. Look at him. Like he caught in the Matrix.
From Peyton Pritchard.
And then he tried to play it off and look the other way. Like let me just try to jump. Nah, he getting a 9 for that.
The move and the shot to beat the buzzer. I'll give it a 9. Yeah, I'll give it a 9. That's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
All right.
Getting in at number 6. We're up to number 5, and the man's a genius, and I mean this. A little touch pass with class from Nikola Jokic to a cutting Christian Brown, who's not throwing this one down, just hanging in.
Man, Joker always impresses me, man. A touch pass like that. I mean, it wasn't a spectacular touch pass, but just his IQ on the court and how he can read where everybody's at. He definitely get an 8 from me.
He's got eyes in the back of his head in terms of those kind of passes. I watched him all last year because Westbrook was on the Nuggets with him. But I will say I've seen him make plays like that on a routine basis. That's kind of a routine pass for him in terms of some of his craziness. So say we're biased because of his greatness, but I'm only going to give it a 7.
Okay, fair enough.
The air and getting that one to go. That's good for number 5. On to number 4, where Jared Vanderbilt's fallen to the floor. Peyton Pritchard with a little shake, and Vanderbilt wanted a call. He's not getting it. Pritchard gets into the count.
He pushed him. Did you see the push?
Yeah.
Nah, I take it away from him. That's a 7. Hold on. That's a 7.
Look.
From that angle, it looks bad, but it was a push.
Into the countdown.
I was going to give
number 4 with that shot.
Okay, look. I was going to give him a 9.5. Look, push or not, he still put him on his ass. He still made the 3. I can't give it a 7, but I can't give it a 9. I'm going to give it an 8.25, and I'm going to put that 0.25 in there just for style points.
Yeah. But Prince was on fire that game.
We're up to number 3. And this move from Jock Landale didn't land well with Day'Ron Sharpe, who just rips it apart. He was spinning and winning, but it didn't happen. Day'Ron
first, that spin was good. That was a quick spin off of him. Man, but the way Sharpe came and blocked that shot, like, get that out of here. Hold on, let me wind that back. That was a good spin,
but it didn't happen. Day'Ron was there way up in the air to deny it.
And the way you got to think about that one, and because great defensive plays get a little underrated, but Londale had hit that spin. So if he had made that, that was going to be SportsCenter top 10. That might have been on his trading card next year.
Rips it apart. He
and
he was
Sharpe took away his trading card.
Happen.
So
Day'Ron was there way up in the air.
An 8.5 for the great defense from Sharpe.
Yeah, he getting a 9 from me.
Good.
That was a great man because he recovered well. Well, not that he recovered, but he helped recover for his teammate.
Deny at number 3. Up to number 2 now, and it's on Yeka the Rim Wrecker. Coming flying along the baseline for the one-handed
It's a
stuff
good dunk,
for the
but
Atlanta Hawks.
you could see that on any given night in the NBA.
Yeah. They get it. They get a 6.
I'll give it a 7.
Headband can slam. He gets in
Right.
at number 2. But at number 1, you better never turn your back on the rack attack. That's what Anthony Edwards did, and it was too late when he turned around.
Tyrese Maxey on 2 men.
To land.
2 of them.
Oh, then stare down Ant-Man.
Look at this stare down.
I'll give that a stare down a
9.
10.
Oh, you would give it a 10?
I'm giving the dunk an 8.5.
I definitely give it 9.5. Yeah.
I'll give the dunk an 8.5. I'm giving the stare down a 10. So I'll average it out to a 9. But that stare down is a 10.
Look how Anthony looked. They're like, yeah, Anthony looking like, I like that. This is what I like. Because I'm coming to get you back.
Absolutely. Because it's one thing if you dunk on, Jock Landale and stare him down, but to stare down Ant-Man, I mean, that's business right there. So I'm giving that stare down a 10 out of 10.
All right. There it is. Y'all have it from us, the top 10 plays and what me and Matthew rated it. Man, Matthew, I'm glad you were able to join tonight, man. I know you're running a little bit behind, but, man, it's always a pleasure to be on here with you, man. And I just had a blast, and I definitely can't wait till next Monday for our next subjects.
It's a blast every week. Good luck at Golden Gloves, and we'll see you in a week.
All right, there you have it. Until next time, make sure y'all like, subscribe, leave your comments down below. We'll throw it up here on the stream as well. Until next time, we're signing out.